I put it out. I put it out
Okay.
there.
All right.
How do I'm very bad at social media.
Oh yeah. I don't get that. I feel like I mean, I see your posts. It's working, functioning. Look at that.
Ooh-wee.
Whoops, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there you are. Good. Um, there is like a little bit of a delay, like a 20-second delay
Hmm.
on um what we're saying to what is actually showing on YouTube. It's probably because I have a tendency to take my top off. That must be it.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think
We
that
have
we
time to
are.
censor you.
Uh, Intellectual. That's great. Okay, now go away. I think that we are good to go. We're on. Okay.
All right.
Um, Hello and welcome to another episode of Story on the Spot, which I am now officially calling the show. There's no more in between about it. Committed. And this is where we are going to use the prompts from Reckless Deck PSYCHE to make a brand new story that has never existed before this moment. And I get the privilege of working with a very, very exciting special guest this evening. Her name is Hazel Honeysuckle, and she is a burlesque performer of no small renown. And knew her back in the day when we were both living in New York City. And it's been really very fun to follow your adventures in your career. Hello, and thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We are doing something that really relates to you and your professional journey. And it's a very exciting, special thing that I have not done on any of these live streams yet, which is we are doing an IP specific show. We are, thanks to Hazel's um, professional endeavors and also just like who she is as a person, we are doing our Star Trek themed episode. So we will be making a Star Trek themed story that happens within the world of Star Trek, which is so fun. I'm so psyched. All right, maybe, and I hope you are too. I'm sure, like, I feel like when I told you about this, I was like, "There's no way she's going to say no to this."
No, it's very exciting.
Right on.
Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about how your love of like nerdy stuff and Star Trek has worked into your professional life?
Uh, well, when I started doing burlesque, a lot of it is, more classic, gowns and gloves and things, but there had already been a lot of performers doing performances based around, their favorite like pop culture, uh and there were groups of nerdy burlesque performers in New York that I saw what they were doing and it was really cool. Um yeah, I think maybe the first nerdy act I did was a one-off um Betty Rubble act. That was
Oh,
not
no
very good.
way.
That costume though became my Cookie Monster costume.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's part of why I chose Cookie Monster. Uh, because I already had this like blue leopard print outfit I had made. That was a long time ago. But now Cookie Monster is like my most kind of requested act that I do.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what of the like the Star Trek related things, which one was the first one that you ever did?
My first Star Trek act was Seven of Nine.
Good choice. Outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, you know, she's hot.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And like more than ever, like if you had watched any of the last season of Picard, which was great,
Yeah.
she was like front and center.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when, we were both in New York, like that was kind of like your thing. You were doing a lot of those late night kind of performances downtown. How did you go from that to being in Vegas and like headlining this what looks like an extremely gorgeous show?
It is an extremely gorgeous show. Yeah. 6 years ago, I moved to Las Vegas to perform in Absinthe at Caesar's Palace.
Now, did you have
But
to audition for that in New York, or did you go out to Vegas to do that?
they had seen me at the Slipper Room in New York.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think it was Julie Atlas Muse who used to work with them with her balloon act, and she recommended they go and see me one night because they were looking for singer burlesquers. So yeah, so they saw me. I talked to them. I did a few auditions for them. I I went out to LA in spring of 2017 for their LA Absinthe that was out there for 2 months, I think it was 10 weeks.
Okay.
And so I was out there. I did a burlesque routine in the show, and then the next year, they asked me to come to Vegas.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
so was all of this process like super nerve-wracking, or were you just like, I'm just me doing my thing and like
Oh
I'll
no, it was terrifying.
right on.
I mean, moving across the country for one thing. Uh, I grew up in Maryland, and then I lived in New York for 17 years. And I'm married, and so I asked my husband. I was like, "Do you want to move to Las Vegas?" He was like, "Yeah, let's go."
Okay.
Um, but it's tough because we didn't know anyone out here. I'd never worked in a circus before. I had never done a long-term show before. Um, so, all of that was very
And how
nerve-wracking.
many shows a week do you do?
I do 7 or 9 shows a week.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
It's a
Wow.
rotating schedule. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's easier than what I was doing in New York.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't have to make your own costumes for this, I
I
would imagine.
I don't have to make the costumes. I don't have to, be booking myself and doing all my promotion and doing all my finances. It's a whole
Sure.
self yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Speaking of doing your own promotion, you did a special project.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did. Um, for those of you who aren't aware, Hazel did a Kickstarter project several, I don't know, like 2 years ago, or when your Kickstarter was like 2 or 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
And it was called Boldly Stripped. Yes, where you did like a sort of, what would you call it? Yeah, this is my copy. And you did, what would you call what you did? Like a burlesque sort of series or spread, a striptease? What would you define it as? Somewhere in there, right?
Yeah, I don't have an official definition of it. It's a sexy photo book, photo stories.
Yes, in which
Yeah.
you perform as many different classic Star Trek aliens.
14. 14 different
Right
aliens.
on. That's so amazing. And there is two editions of this, right? There is one that is
Yes,
like a lingerie version, and there is one that is like a songs lingerie version, which
correct.
which is the one that I have because I felt that it would contain more hard-hitting journalism.
Definitely. Yes.
Yes, yeah, for
I will
sure.
say that is the more popular version.
That's shocking.
Not, yeah.
So where did you come up with the idea to do this? Like, it's one thing to do them as a burlesque act, but you're like, I want to do this like epic project that
Yeah.
involves like a lot of myself and all these Star Trek aliens and lots of makeup and lots of costuming. Like, how did you get there?
Well, it wasn't going to be quite as big of a project as it became. The original idea was, because it was the pandemic, I wasn't performing. I didn't have much to do. So I thought I'd make a calendar because that's a thing people do.
Sure.
Um, you know, we do a few photo shoots, I dress up, but as I started to kind of plan what I was going to do with that, I realized, this is a lot of work. It's a shame when you can only show like one photograph of from a whole photo shoot. You make a costume, you do makeup. So I thought, what if we do a book? And yeah, we planned the book, and it was going to be half as big. It was going to be 12 photo shoots. But when we started the Kickstarter, it really took off, and we raised a lot more money than we thought. So it just got bigger. And
Totally.
yeah,
Now, I
I
want to
spent
say,
2 years making it.
um, I really, really want to say, and we haven't really had the chance to talk about this really. I think this is brave as fuck. I was knocked out by this because
Thank you.
you really put yourself out there in like a really like hung yourself right over the volcano with this, like in an extremely like loud and proud way. So I love it. I think that it was incredibly like just a huge brave thing to do. And it's really successful in that I feel like it threads several needles really, really expertly. Like
Mm,
it's very fanboy and it's very nerdy, but it's also really arty. And it's also really funny in that sort of like very vintagey burlesque humor style that
yeah,
it feels very kind of like has that like classic pin-uppy humor. It's the production values are awesome. And so I just feel like it does so many things really well at the same time.
thank you.
You're welcome. Is this still available? Can people still get this?
They sure can on
Where will
boldlystripped.com.
Oh, right on. Okay, great.
Yes. Uh, yeah, we still have books. I've been selling them at GalaxyCon events. One coming up in Richmond next week. two
Where
weeks.
Richmond is
Rich,
in
Virginia.
Nevada? Oh, you're coming back to the East Coast.
Hmm.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. Um,
Yeah,
before
March.
we, do you ever do any other conventions on the East Coast?
Um, Not at the moment. No,
Okay. So you don't do like New York Comic Con or Boston Fan Expo or any of those other.
no. The thing about GalaxyCon is they have these wonderful burlesque shows at night. GalaxyCon After Dark. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, so I get to perform, and then I have a booth for selling my books, which is great.
That's great. I love doing conventions. I would love to do a convention at the same I would love to do the same show as you at some point. That would be really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
So before we dive into the story making part of this, I have a little bit of a more show and tell fun things for you. We did a photo shoot together like forever ago, and that still remains to be like the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know if you've ever seen these. I've posted them on social media a couple of times, but I have a couple of paintings that I did of you. Have you seen this?
Oh, look at
Uh-huh.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, thank you. So let me see if I can get it a little closer. This is this one. I'll have another one,
Yes.
right? So I did that one from our
Oh,
photo
that's
shoot.
gorgeous. Yeah.
And this is an older portfolio piece that I did that has kind of aged out of my portfolio, um, where you're like a superhero,
Yes. That one. I remember you posting that one.
oh, good. Okay, yeah.
That's
So
so
that's
cool.
and so there you have it. I feel like I've gotten a lot of great stuff out of that shoot that we did.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so the show and tell is over, and we are going
Okay.
to we're gonna really try to be stay disciplined and actually get to the story making part of this.
Okay.
So if anybody has seen, you've not seen this before, you haven't done this before, but anybody else that hasn't seen this, I created a card deck series called Reckless Deck, which is an idea generating series. The original series is full of visual call outs to make your character based on their look. What we are doing is Reckless Deck Psyche, which is making your character's mind. It's an 8 category series, and each category gives you another piece of the puzzle of your character's inner world and what's happening around. And so I have made some selections for Hazel to choose from, and she's going to pick the one she likes best, and then we're going to make a story out of it. All right, this is the part where I switch the camera over. Here we go. Okay, so the first category that we are going to start with is occupations. And I feel like this just allows us to really home in on like who they are and what they do, like what place in the world they occupy. And it's going to tell us a lot about the setting, a lot about their lifestyle, a lot of their surrounding, as far as where they are in their life. There are 4 categories in this series that are universal to all characters, and 4 that are very specific to the world or the setting. And so now we know we're doing Star Trek. So I have, by the way, the fact that this was Star Trek made choosing cards so much harder. So there may be more than there should be. Okay. First, a nanotechnologist.
Ooh.
Or a club dancer or performer. Now that I gave you, there's more than I would normally give you. 4 of them, I give you 8. 4 of them are not Starfleet, and 4 of them are Starfleet. So you can decide whether you want to be in Starfleet or sort of Starfleet adjacent.
Okay.
Okay. You have a high-level regime official, which to me, you can interpret that as you want to. I thought that that would be a alien race that was more like Romulan-y,
Sure. Yeah.
that was like a little bit more kind of fascist, kind of uniformy, and kind of like kind of shady in that good Romulan or Cardassian kind of way.
Hmm.
And then you have a clan leader, which I thought would be maybe another kind of alien race that was a little more thuggy,
Mm.
kind of Klingon-y, maybe kind of Nausicaan-y. And I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth right now. Like I haven't actually spoken this stuff out loud, and now I'm like faced with myself in a scary way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have ship's first officer, ship's
Hmm.
science officer,
Oh,
cadet,
cadet.
or a jump trooper or shock trooper, which to me, I kind of
Mm.
interpreted as like a red shirt, basically.
Or like oh gosh,
Or
my
like a
memory.
what? I'm here
Um,
for you. I'm here for your answer.
Jem'Hadar. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Oh, good one. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So
Um,
those are your options.
okay, wow.
And because, you have to pick one for our protagonist, but that doesn't mean we can't utilize some of this for who they encounter or who like the bad guys are.
Okay.
Tell us your thoughts. Tell us what you're thinking. What looks good,
Uh,
what looks not interesting.
well, I think the club dancer would be really fun.
Right? Which would be very sort of Deep Space Nine, right? Like a Dobble girl or something like that.
Yeah.
Or like one of those green girls.
A Ryzen. Uh, oh, you mean Orion. An Orion or a Ryzen or who is it? The I like the nanotechnologist. That could be a good way to get a lot of technobabble in.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And also a good way to get, like Android-y stuff happening.
Mm, yeah.
Is there anything that doesn't look interesting?
I probably not the trooper.
Not the trooper. Okay.
Um I guess the biggest question is you know, do they want to be in Starfleet or Starfleet?
It's a tough one. I knew that that was going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad it's not my decision.
Um let's
Is that a tribble?
oh
Are you
yes.
snuggling a tribble? That's so good. It looks like a porcupine tribble.
This is my last one.
Oh, no way.
I sold all the rest. Um, yeah. Um, I would like to do uh um nanotechnologist.
Wow.
Do that
Okay.
one.
All right.
Do that one.
Okay. And then now that we know where they are in life, now we got to choose their motivation. What do they want the most? What is the thing that they're after as they go through the moves of the story? To become a leader of others,
Hmm.
to claim what is owed them,
Ooh.
to push the boundaries of understanding, to recover something that was lost, or to repay a debt.
Oh. I think
Some,
claim what is owed them sounds very interesting.
yeah, it's like very not Starfleet, right? I thought that I put that one in there in case we didn't end up with the Starfleet officers because they could,
Mm,
they're so superlative, all those Starfleet people. Like they really are interesting characters in that there's really not much that's very flawed about them. Their flaws are very small,
yeah, they're
but
utopian creatures.
yeah, for sure. And now that we know that, we're going to do what a strength and a flaw. They are a visionary, capable of revolutionary ideas. They are inquisitive, possess a hunger for knowledge, exploration, and understanding. They are proactive. They take action by creating change instead of reacting to change. Or they're improvisational. They're capable of bold action without planning.
Well, visionary and inquisitive are pretty obvious choices for this one,
Mhm.
right? Um,
But definitely, I feel like proactive makes. Oh, we haven't decided if it's a he or a she, and maybe you can hone in on that as we go forward, or maybe you know already.
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll find out. We'll
Let's
get there.
save that. Let's save
Mhm.
that for later.
If they are proactive, I feel like it makes them a little bit more bold, a little bit more assertive in the world instead of being this sort of like buttoned up scientist.
Yeah,
And if they're improvisational, it gives them a little bit of a MacGyver flair instead of maybe being so, like buttoned up or by the book or by the rules.
right.
They could be that kind of nanotechnologist that's like, what if I just plug this thing into here? What happens then? Or like, what happens if I cross a this with a that?
Okay. Yeah, let's go with improvisational.
Okay, that could lead to some like big scientific disasters.
Yes.
And now a flaw. They are impatient. Oops, glare. They are envious. They covet the success and advantages of others. They are contrary. They are argumentative, prone to disagree, or they are inflexible, intractable and unwilling to compromise despite new information or developments.
Hmm. I like impatient.
Okay, so now we're halfway there. The next categories that we do are going to tell us a lot more about the story, about who they're surrounded by, about what's happening in their life. These so far are very internal.
Hmm.
One more that is called the given circumstances. It is just a condition of their life, something about either their society or their health or their finances or just their inner makeup that really affects how they move through the world. For example, they have a sibling or siblings.
Okay.
Here's a weird one for a nanotechnologist. Automatonophobic, has a fear of human-like figures.
Yeah, yeah, that would make things difficult.
Here's another weird one for Star Trek, okay? Selenophobic, has a fear of the moon.
Oh,
Now, I thought that this was interesting because I want to know, does it apply to all moons or just one moon specifically? Like,
Right. Which moon?
and like when you think of fear of the moon, you're like, oh, the moon, like, that's up in the sky and it's like in its different phases. Does that fear still apply when you're like above the moon or on the moon? Like, how would that sort of transfer to a Star Trek world?
Yeah.
Another one would be sleepwalks,
Okay. Okay.
or last one, practices a martial art or self-defense technique.
Mm. Um, Fear of the moon is just so weird.
Let's do it. All right.
Like it could be all moons.
All moons, right? Which would be like a lot in Star Trek. They would be like 3 times a day. You'd
They're
be
like
like,
always on moons.
yeah, they're always on moons. Okay, three more to go. The next category is secrets, something that they are hiding.
Mm.
Knows that their ship is a sentient being. Is the heir to the head of a dangerous spacefaring clan of marauders.
Ooh.
Was responsible for the death of the entire crew of the last ship they served aboard.
Yeesh.
Is from a race or planet that has restricted rights or travel privileges.
Hmm.
Or has a personal cloaking device.
These are fun.
Right on. I'm glad you think so. And it's like, here's a thought. Like, if you were to go with this one, which is like really dark, right? Really, that would be
Hmm.
like really serious. It makes you wonder, like, was this person in Starfleet before? And then there was like something that like went really badly for them career-wise, so that they're no longer in Starfleet. Like, were they, a scientist aboard some, like Starfleet vessel or whatever, and
Yeah,
one of their improvisational science experiments just like went really like
hmm
took a wrong turn.
yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Responsible for the death of the entire crew of their last ship.
Uh-huh. Yeah, very low stakes, right? That one totally not a big problem at all.
Yeah. This is a very flawed character.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Next is formative event, something that happened to them in their past that had a very strong effect on who they are in the present.
Maybe why they're afraid. We
Why
figure
they're
out
afraid
why
of the
they're
moon? That
afraid
would
of
be
the
that.
moon.
Let's see if we can figure that out. Is one of a handful of survivors from a planet whose population is completely wiped out.
Oh.
Had a committed mentor who helped make them exceptional in their field.
Mhm.
They were injured in an alien creature attack and were saved by the implanting of untested hybrid alien technology.
Great.
Or is from a race of alien humanoids that raised them to hate Earth and humans from a very young age. And last one, was sold as a child and raised as a trained assassin for a crime syndicate. Like you do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then became a nanotechnologist.
Right. Very linear career path. Oh,
Maybe.
while we talk, I'm going to write some of these down.
I want the implanted alien technology.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yes.
Last one. This is inciting incident. This is what is happening to them right now, or what just happened that sets them on the journey of their story. And like I said, because we're in Star Trek, for some reason, this was so much more painful choosing these cards. So I think I narrowed it down. Has just detected a nearby distress signal while trying to fly undetected through prohibited space.
Ooh.
They were forced to land their vessel on a planet whose flora and fauna are both filled with aggressive, lethal life forms. Oh, they are contacted by the younger, heroic version of a destructive, corrupted villain who has arrived from another timeline.
Lordy.
Does that make sense? So that's sort of like if you live in a world with um,
Yeah.
Khan Noonien Singh, right?
But he
Who,
used to be a good
but
guy.
he used to be a good guy. Like we're getting like the other timeline version of good guy Khan before he turns into like Darth Vader Khan. Their former partner from their criminal past has returned.
Mm.
Or a robot or android they work closely with comes to them for help, claiming they can feel their programming being rewritten by intrusive code.
Ooh. Android virus.
The android virus, right? Like happening in real time. Like, can you imagine Data just tapping someone on the shoulder and being like, yeah, someone's hacking into me right now.
Ooh. I feel like that fits with the rest of the story
Okay. Oh,
best.
that's true. It really does.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we have our 8.
Hooray!
Hooray. Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Let me switch back over and come back and join you. And so far, the tech is being oh so cooperative. Right on. Clearly, I didn't get very far writing these down. Um, can you say something? I think I just yanked my cord. Yes, there you are.
Testing. Here I am.
Okay. So we know we've got a nanotechnologist. Who is improvisation? But also impatient. Fear. Whoops. Fear of the moon.
You're the moon.
Uh-huh. They want to claim what is owed them. They're full of hybrid alien tech, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting one thing. Fear the moon. Oh, the secret. Responsible for the death of their entire crew.
Oh yeah. That's rough, man.
And then a android seeks help for the virus, computer virus. Okay. So that's what we're working with. And my question to you is, what here, if anything, is starting to already connect in your head?
I don't know.
No, nothing? All right.
Um,
Like if you're not there yet, that's a totally valid answer. Let's answer
mhm.
this. I brought it up earlier. Do you think that this character, which by the way, do we have are they a he or she or a genderless alien maybe?
Mm. Let's make it he.
Okay.
Yes.
A nanotechnologist. Um, do you think that they served in Starfleet? Or like what's their relationship to Starfleet? Are they an enemy of Starfleet? Are they, avoidant of Starfleet because of the shady things they like to do? Were they in Starfleet and got like drummed out?
I think they are a um in the sciences, not a, not a member of Starfleet,
Okay.
but they work with, he works with Starfleet on experiments sometimes.
Okay. And
You know?
so when it comes to the death of the crew, Do you think that was like a Starfleet vessel, or like were they, on board a Starfleet ship doing sciencey stuff when that happened, or was that like a private sector kind of ship?
Mm, I don't know. We're gonna have to figure out what kind of experiments they do.
Okay. When it comes to nanotechnology, um, which is like tiny things that go inside your body, right? Isn't that normally what we think of, in like little tiny robots that go inside you or inside computers or inside things and do things? They're like micro computer bots, I think.
Yes.
Does
I
anyone in the
think
chat
I
have a
think it's
better
also like developing materials. Um, isn't it? I don't know.
does
I don't
anyone
know
in
enough
the
about nanotechnology.
does it, I know tons about nanotechnology. Does anyone in the chat have any better definitions of what a nanotechnologist would do? I think it's little tiny bots that do things, either inside computers or inside your body, or like, they that like can sneak into like tiny little places.
Maybe they study the Borg.
Oh my God. That's a wow. All right. Swing for the fences. That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. I love that. So like they study like Borg implants and stuff and like see like they just like futz with Borgy tech.
Borg, the the nanobots that live in their blood.
Okay. Yes. So almost like the things that get injected into you when they like Borgify
Yeah.
other organisms, right?
Oh, they did all kinds of things with them in Voyager. They were always using Seven's nanoprobes.
Oh, no way. I've seen a bunch of Voyager and I like Voyager a lot, but I haven't seen all of it.
Ah,
So okay, that's cool. All right, great. So they study the Borg and like the nanoprobes
Borg nanoprobes. They
in
could solve all kinds of stuff. Oh,
but as improvisational as we know our guy is, yes, you can solve a lot of things, but I'll bet like not everything works out the way it's supposed to. Like I'll bet that I would imagine, since
yeah.
we know that he's responsible for the death of his crew, that maybe he actually accidentally turned them all into Borgs.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That like,
Yeah.
oops, that cookie jar opened, and that happened. All right, that's amazing. So maybe there is like, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, but maybe there is like a rogue now ex-Starfleet ship flying around out there that is fully like staffed and run by Borg.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
like that? Okay. Nanoprobes of the Borg, accident led to Borg manned ex Starfleet ship. Oh, that's so scary because they would all still have like bits of their uniforms on.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like this creepy zombie like Starfleet ship, or almost like a do you ever see Pirates of the Caribbean, the second one where they're always like on that like ghost ship? I loved that movie. So many people were like, yeah, no, those weren't for me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that would be spooky, really spooky, which starts to, I think it helps us because now we start to figure out our relationship to Starfleet, right? Um, and we are sort of looping Starfleet into our story. We're following what normally would be considered a supporting character, right? Like normally like we would be on board the Enterprise and they would like run into this guy somehow or answer a distress call and deal with this person. But instead we are viewing the story from this guy's perspective, which I think
Yeah.
is extremely fun.
Yeah.
And so then Starfleet arrives almost as like supporting characters in this guy's story. Uh,
definitely.
so claim what is owed. What do you think that would be?
I mean, it sounds like he's not a very he's not a responsible person.
Right, right. I just had a creepy thought. Like, what if he sees maybe to him this accidental like Borg ship that he created isn't like a bad thing? I think what if it were to him like sort of like a success? Like obviously it's a problem. Like it was too successful, and he's like, I want my toys back.
I think, this ship is like they're not part of the main Borg collective.
Yeah, okay,
Maybe like
yes.
they have their own collective and they're not Starfleet anymore, but they're not exactly bad guys.
Okay. Oh, weird. Oh, so there's sort of like chaotic neutral Borg that aren't necessarily on any particular side other than their own.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is really weird. Wow. Okay.
And so our character wants to fix them
Oh, wants to fix them. Okay.
since he got them all assimilated.
Does he want to turn them back into like people, or does he want to just make them into better Borgs? And
I
this can
mean,
be like a secret, like this could be something that he doesn't tell anybody else. Where he's like, "Oh my, we've got to help these people," when really like his agenda is like, "I want I want my boards back because like they're not done. They're not fully baked."
he's trying to perfect his like changes in the nano bots.
Right? Yeah, like he sort of like wants to get back in there with his experiment, but is putting on the performance of being this like worried humanitarian that wants to like save this crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what is owed him. Like his creation is the thing he wants to come back and claim. Do you think that the Borg ship, this crazy, creepy Borg ship that we made up, is out there being proactive, like doing stuff, or are they just kind of tooling around? Like, are they helping people? Are they assimilating? Like, are they going around like assimilating colonists? Are they actually like, doing almost like anti-hero things? Like, what are they
Mm.
up to, do you think? Or are they just trying to stay off the radar?
Um, I mean, maybe they have some sort of warped vision of their own utopia.
Yeah,
They go,
that's totally a Borg thing, right? They have a warped vision of their own utopia. They're like, no, this is awesome. You want this for sure.
yeah. Yeah, they end up on some planet and and they want to and they want to assimilate all of these like lower technology culture people.
Okay. To like improve their shitty lives. They're like, you guys have no TV. Your cars suck. You absolutely need to level up.
Like you need us.
Yeah. So they're out there doing Borg-like things, like assimilating lower, like less civilized life societies and whatnot.
Yeah.
So at what point do you think that Starfleet intervenes with this guy? How does he cross paths with them again? Does he call for their help? Do they like, is he on a space station, like by himself that's like kind of abandoned and they show up and they're like, what's this kooky scientist doing here with his creepy experiments? And he's like, oh, here, let me just hide this thing. And he's like, oh, thank God you're here. Like
Yeah.
something like that.
Sure.
or does he actually like call the cops and he's like, oh, there's been an accident. These Borgs have gotten loose. So like I guess the difference is like, does he initiate contact with Starfleet or do they discover him? And then he has to like scramble to pull together like an alibi.
I don't know. Like like who is the android? Is the android part of
That's
Starfleet?
good. We got so into the Borgs that I forgot about the android. Okay, so yes,
Yeah.
so he's got this android. Do you think it's sort of like a Data-ish kind of character that is like his lab assistant or like his almost like Beaker, like his like positronic android version of Beaker?
And like his only companion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be actually the Borg, his Borg people that are trying to like hack into his android companion.
Oh.
Because they could have a bone to pick with this guy, right? They might have an opinion about this. They could be like, um, not happy. Like there are Borgs, but they're also, no, they seem like they would be. Borgs are always pretty satisfied with themselves, right? Like they don't have a lot of like self-doubt.
Oh no, they're very self-assured. They know they're the best.
Yeah, they're
Well, they're always striving for perfection
okay.
and unity and like the collective good for themselves. So, you know.
So something is hacking into the like the positronic companion. And it could be these boards. It could be a thing that we haven't talked about yet. I feel like it feels better to like keep the story contained rather than introducing a new element, rather than
Mhm.
introducing another alien race or another scientist or another something hacking into to his um to or okay, so what if he's got his what if his nanobots, his Borg nanobots,
Mhm.
have, like gotten into his
Oh.
alien his android buddy?
Yeah, I mean his experiments
Mhm.
um go wrong somehow, some of the nanobots evolve or have some unintended consequence and they start infecting the android.
Yeah, I like that. That way it's not initiated by these Borg because that seems like they wouldn't want to bother with him anymore. I thought at
Mm,
first maybe they were, like they had like a vengeance thing or some reason to really like zero in on him, but I think they were totally over him. Like
mm,
they're good doing what they're doing. Uh, but his experiments or his bots or whatever is he's getting hacked, and maybe he feels differently about that than he did about the crew. Maybe the crew he wasn't really like that really didn't trouble him or didn't really wasn't bothered by that. But maybe
mm.
this he is bothered by. Maybe he has a different connection or relationship with the android than he did with these other humans.
Yeah.
And so he does not want this to happen. But he was fine when this happened.
Yeah.
Does that track?
He's a psychopath.
You pick these cards.
I did.
But I definitely feel like him having a relationship with this android that is very humanizing. That is a thing
Mm,
for him that actually there are certain lines that he doesn't want to cross, and he does have attachments that he doesn't want to. He has relationships such as they are that are valuable to him.
hmm Yeah.
So either he's in the middle of trying to do something to save his buddy, his android buddy, and the Enterprise arrives. I mean, let's assume you want like our guys to show up, or some other Starfleet ship. It depends on how it's your story. It could be a different ship. It could be, we could get the classic team of like Geordi, Data, you know, Dr. Crusher, and like a couple of guys that would end up dead in the first, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it going to be them, or is it just going to be like a different crew? Are we how? I mean, because we're doing fan fiction here essentially, so it's like how close to the sun do you want to fly?
I don't know. I mean, they're just going to end up taking him down if Starfleet shows up.
They could take him down. He could convince them to go after. He could be the catalyst that gets them to go after this BORG Starfleet ship, which maybe they don't know about. Maybe they're out here looking for it. Like, oh, we've lost contact with the Intrepitude, or the whatever ship that is the name of that.
No, Intrepitude, that's it. That's the ship. First thought, best thought.
Yep. So
Um,
he they are, looking for the ship that they lost contact with. So this would make this somewhat recent. This wasn't like years ago.
or it was years ago, but they just got a signal, or they had some sign that something funny was happening.
Oh, so like maybe they thought that the Intrepitude was no, yeah, the Intrepitude was lost, and
Yeah.
then it like
This
pinged suddenly. It just like suddenly it's like back on the grid in some way, or like, there was been signs of it, sightings of it,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, suddenly the Intrepitude is back online. Or like somebody's saying that they saw the Intrepitude flying around, like moon delta gamma, and then he's like, not moons, whatever, anything but a moon.
Not the moon. The android had some kind of a beacon inside him that got turned back on when he got
Okay.
hacked. And that's
Oh,
how
okay.
Starfleet found them.
So do you think that the android was one of these Starfleet fleet crew guys? Or was it just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah, and that's why he's
amazing.
his buddy, because like he's the only one left, so they kind of share that history.
That
And
is incredible.
he, and he doesn't feel as bad about everyone dying because he's an android.
It reminds me a little bit like, because not a full on like Data. Do you remember in one of the first or second seasons of Picard, there was like that other version of like what a positronic android was like, and it was not fully self-aware. It was the season where they like all the androids like flipped out or something, and then they became illegal. Does this ring any
Yes.
bells for you?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I watched it, but
Right. So the fact that it doesn't have those kinds of emotional connections that you might see from Data makes it a little
yeah,
bit more of a, yeah, less evolved, less complicated of a being.
he's not a yeah, he's not a Sungian android.
Right. He's like a knockoff. He's like a
Yeah, yeah.
like he came from like Ross or something like that. He's like the
Hmm.
Ross version of a top shelf android.
Yeah.
So they show up, Starfleet shows up, and our nanotechnologist is the one that instigates like the like seeking out the rogue Borg ship, right? And maybe they're like, oh my God, you're trying to tell me that the Intrepitude all this time was actually assimilated and they're out there cruising around. They find this out.
Yeah, and he's like, my bad.
He's like, it just happened. Like I wasn't, I'm sure he would downplay his role in it and be
He
like,
want he kept it hidden
mm-hmm.
because he wants to fix it, so he can get his like science awards or and fame
Yes. Yeah,
and
yes. Okay.
accolades
Oh,
that
he's
he's
such a dick. Wow. He's like
yeah, yeah.
really I really like this character though. He's like a great villain up against, like he would be a very, very fascinating character for them to actually tangle with.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so he just wants to use Starfleet as a way to find his Borg again. Meanwhile, he's trying to unborgify his android buddy. And I wonder if this android would not have some complicated reactions or emotions to reconnecting with his old crew, who now are robot zombies.
Hmm.
And so I feel like this could be a very super fun showdown when they finally find this ship. There could be a colony that needs rescuing. There could be like the Borg cube is like up above a town or whatever, doing its Borgy thing, and like the Starfleet ship has to like fly in, and
That's a good Starfleet ship.
I'm
That's
storyboarding the whole thing for you right now. Um, they fly in, and so like there's a threat happening from the Borg ship at that time that they have to deal with that. Then this android is suddenly like, I have so many feelings right now. So about everything that happens, about reuniting with this old crew.
hmm
Our scientist, what do you think once all of these puzzle pieces that he sort of like, you know, chest chess mastered his way into getting all of this thing configured with like he's found his Borg people, he's got this new Starfleet ride. What do you feel like his end game would look like? Because I think you're right. I think he would want to try to fix the situation under the
hmm
radar so that he could still go out and collect his prize.
Yeah. So he's got the new he's hanging out with the new Starfleet crew
Hmm.
and they're investigating. Is that a Borg cube that's just showed up? We
No,
don't have a
this
Borg
oh
ship.
oh that's right. They don't have a Borg ship. They have their own Enterprise ship. They have the Intrepitude. How could I forget?
Yeah, but it's like covered in Borg implants.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like
Thank you for fixing my continuity problem there. So yeah, it's got like
they've just changed all the lights to green.
yeah,
That's
oh yeah, it's got some like
what they
weird
did.
Borgy stuff coming off of it. So that imagine those are like Borgy cables and like tentacles and things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So the
So
Starfleet.
do you think that he wants to help this Borg crew and take them away on the Starfleet ship to rescue them and look like a hero? Do you think he wants to take this new bunch of Starfleet people and like mix them up into his like little Borgy group that he's got going on here? Like
I
what's
don't.
his version of success look like?
He wants to keep it a secret how they turned into Borg
Okay,
from
yep.
Starfleet,
Hmm.
and gosh, I don't know how he would do this.
I don't know how he would do it either. I'm not sure. And I feel like he's got
It's
this
in a tough
android
spot.
buddy that suddenly is like a material witness to a crime, where he's like
Yeah,
friends with this guy, wants to rescue this guy, but also he's like, oh, I really feel like emotionally attached to you, but you're a big problem for me now because you know everything that happened.
I think at some point too, the android switches alliances to the Borg crew
Oh, I love that. Okay.
as the virus takes him over.
Okay. Goes full Borg. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So he joins that crew. And then I wonder if the crew doesn't get the science. Do you think the scientist gets borged by his own Borgs? In the end, do you think that he ends up getting like, like
Oh,
say fall victim to his own creation?
and then he's like, this was better all along.
Yeah, he's much happier. Like things are so much simpler now.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, I
Because
feel
now
like
you've got this new Starfleet crew here,
yes.
and they probably just want to. Mm,
Obviously the Starfleet crew wants to help their missing Starfleet friends.
but they also, like, since they're Borg now, they probably just have to kill them all, destroy the ship.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. They would. And I wonder if you think our scientists wouldn't look at this new Starfleet crew and be like, you guys would make really excellent looking Borgs. Rather than see his creations destroyed, he probably is like, oh, now is my chance to like double my collection. Like
Yeah.
I could definitely work with these guys. So
Or he's got like a new version of this experiment that went wrong. Oops. And and he's like, this time it's gonna work.
I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely true.
2.0.
So I don't necessarily know that we need to solve this, but wow, like in terms of like writing, like I feel like this is like a cracking good bit of fan fiction right here. Like I want to see this episode real bad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think we need to know how it's resolved, um, because I feel like that would be the thing that you would do when you wrote it. Like if and when you would ever write it, um,
If
you
I had
could
ever written anything.
that this is your moment. This is you've made a story.
Yay!
Yes, congratulations. I definitely think that this as a thing that you write could absolutely be worked into your, whole convention situation. You could be like, and look what I wrote.
Yeah, I could do that.
Doesn't have nearly enough like scantily clad Rysans in it running around. We might have to work in some of those.
Yeah. Well, if we had gone with the club dancer.
Yes. Well, you could always go back here and insert like maybe the scientist also has like, some another android that he dressed up in like a French maid outfit or something like that, who like serves him, coffee in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I think that this is super fun, and we did the thing that we set out to do, which was
Yeah.
like really play in the Star Trek sandbox in a big, big way.
I like it.
The first time I've ever done this with this card series, and I feel like it really pulled it off. Like I'm very excited to see what this is like when you like Voltron it together with an existing IP.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's it was really neat to see where it went.
Right? Right? I think
Yeah.
that it's a really this whole Star Ghost ship thing is very spooky. In the
Hmm.
same way that like, do you remember in First Contact when they were going down to the deck that the Borg had taken over?
Yeah.
That was like legitimately stressful and like really spooky. And I feel like we could get those kinds of vibes with that moment here in a big way.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Borgified ship.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that we need to know the end, but we have lots of good options. You have lots of good options about whether he tries to save the crew, he tries to turn the new crew, he gets turned by the Borg, he gets hauled off to jail by Starfleet. There's so many fun options.
Yeah.
So yes, we did it. And we did it on time too. So we got
Hey.
to get you to your show because
Yeah,
you've got to go to work.
I
How
do.
long is the show? Is it like a full length 2 hour show?
It's about 90 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Are you in most of it? Are you in like every scene?
Oh no. I'm
Oh,
I'm at the beginning at the end. It's a circus variety show.
okay.
So I have a number at the beginning and another bit where girls are on sway poles, and I do bottle service,
Oh, okay.
and then the finale.
Got it.
Fly up in the air again. I fly through the air.
Very, very cool. This is excellent. So I guess before we go, tell people where they can find you on social media.
Oh, well, you can find me. I am Hazel Honeysuckle. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can also find me on boldlystripped.com for
Yeah,
your
and get one of these.
copies of the book if you're interested.
Hmm.
Um, you can also find me at GalaxyCon this year.
Oh, that's
Go to
killer. That's
There's
great.
5 different cities that I'm going to be going to. Uh, Information on my Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to intersect with you at a convention, especially if
Yeah.
there's 5 of them. And for those of you watching, my name is Clark Huggins. This is Reckless Deck. You can find out more about it at Reckless Deck on Instagram, here on YouTube, which we are presently inhabiting, and also at recklessdeck.com. You can, and also this system, finally, after a very lengthy and painful Kickstarter process, will finally be available in like 6 to 8 weeks. You'll be able to actually get it and use it and hold it in your hands. So that's a big piece of news.
Yay,
There we have it.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hazel, for being here and doing this with us. It's really great to see you again, and I had a super fun time. I hope you did too.
I did.
Excellent. Let's for sure stay in touch.
Okay.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Have a great night.
You too.